Welcome to Native Bidaske, Native News Online's weekly spotlight on people making news and leading change in Indian country. My name is Levi Rickert. I'm the publisher and editor of Native News Online. And joining us today is John Echohawk, who is the executive director of the Native American Rights Fund, co-founder. And tomorrow night, they will be celebrating in Denver their 50th anniversary as a gala to celebrate their first 50 years. However, one note is the 50th anniversary was postponed for 2 years because of COVID-19. So actually, they've been in business 52 years now, but they are celebrating their 50th anniversary. 300 guests will be in Denver celebrating with John, and welcome, John.
Thank you, Levi. Good to be with you.
Well, thank you. And we're excited to have you, and excited, and congratulations to you on the this milestone, 50 years plus, 52 years actually. It's tremendous. And tell us a little bit about what NARF is about.
It's all about providing legal representation to our tribes and Native organizations and individuals, particularly where they're not able to afford lawyers. We're a nonprofit organization raising funds to provide this legal representation, and that's what we've been doing for 52 years. It's something that was really needed by our people because, of course, we were the poorest of the poor. We're getting a little bit better at that, but still there's a lot of need for our legal representation, and the request for assistance just keep rolling in. We manage as many as we can, but there's no way we can help everybody.
Yeah, 52 years is quite tremendous for any organization to survive, and for Indian country doing great work. But can you kind of take our viewers back 52 years, and how many lawyers were on staff versus how many lawyers are now? And you have various offices around the country. So speak to us about that growth.
Okay. Yeah, we started in 1970. That was the same year that the federal government's policy changed under President Nixon. He repudiated the termination and assimilation policy that had been in effect for many years, and supported the new self-determination era, where tribes and their treaties were to be respected, and we were able to live the way that we wanted. We had a big need for legal representation to implement that, so we had started with a grant from the Ford Foundation. They funded the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the Mexican American Legal Defense Fund, so they finally started funding a Native American Legal Defense Fund, us, and we got involved in a number of important issues right away, and got the attention of other funding sources, and we grew pretty fast.
And how many lawyers do you have currently, John, on staff?
We're now up to 23 attorneys. That's the largest we've ever been. There's been a lot of interest in these issues in recent years because of the focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've got 15 lawyers. Washington office, and 5 in our Alaska office.
Okay. John, we lost you there for about 10 seconds. So could you say what you just said? I'm sorry. Repeat it.
I was just saying we have 23 attorneys on staff, 15 of them here in our central office in Colorado. We're located here because most of these tribes are located west of the Mississippi River, so Colorado's kind of right in the middle of that, a good airport. We can get anywhere in the West pretty fast. We've also got a Washington, D.C. office with 3 lawyers and an office in Anchorage, Alaska with 5 lawyers.
And I've been impressed with through the years watching NARF, and you also have the ability to weigh in on the critical legal issues, cases that go to the Supreme Court. Through the years, what would you say were some of the most memorable cases that or achievements, legal achievements you feel like NARF has achieved during those 50 years? Can you come up with maybe 2 or 3 that come to mind?
Yeah, I always think back to kind of when we started. There was a real need for representation of the tribes up in Western Washington who were asserting treaty fishing rights. Fishing is what those tribes are all about there. The state of Washington did not respect the treaties and were requiring them to get fishing licenses and fish under state law. And the 1855 treaty said that the tribes were going to share the resource in common with the citizens of the state. And what that meant was 50-50, and the tribes fishing under tribal law. And that's what the courts held, starting with Judge Bolt on to the Ninth Circuit and eventually on to the U.S. Supreme Court. So a big treaty victory write-off, again, showing that these treaties are the supreme law of the land. They're not ancient history. We also got involved in representing the Menominee Nation in Wisconsin that had been terminated in the 50s. Of course, the Congress had said that was going to be good for them, and of course it was really disastrous for them. So we helped them explain that to the Congress, and the Congress passed a law restoring their tribal status, and other tribes that had been terminated followed by getting restored as well. So those were 2 of the big cases that we did right away, Levi.
And without getting too much into your business from financial side, but how are you funded? Are you still getting financial support, like from foundations or tribes? Can you speak to that?
Yes, we raise funds whatever way we can. We've got a lot of foundation support. The tribes have started pitching in as well as they have been able to get on their feet, and some of them have, philanthropy programs. We also solicit funds from individuals through direct mail and electronic means as well. So we have a good donor base of foundations, tribes, and individuals. We also ask our clients that we take on, if any of them are able to pay anything, to please do that, so we have a little bit of fee income. So altogether, those things add up. And like I said, we're at 23 attorneys, a budget of about $15 million a year. That's the largest we've ever been.
Yes, and John, talk about last year at the Coalition of Large Tribes. You made a keynote address, and you talked about voting rights and legislation for Native Americans, for voting rights in Congress right now. And tell us where you think we are, and why is it, and I know NARF has done tremendous work to preserve the right of American Indians, Alaska Natives to vote. So tell us about NARF's involvement with the voting rights.
Okay. Well, it really started in 2013 when the U.S. Supreme Court decided a case that basically gutted the National Voting Rights Act. It used to be that any changes in state voting laws had to be approved by the Justice Department to make sure they were not discriminatory. And the court knocked out that provision, and it left the states free to do whatever they wanted to do in terms of passing voting laws. And some of these states started coming out with some real discriminatory laws. And of course, our people didn't like that, and they needed some legal help. And of course, that's why they call us, So we started getting involved in suing states over these discriminatory voting laws, and that's just continued. Today, we have all kinds of fights going on, and we've done a lot of research on that, having meetings around the country with our Native American Voting Rights Coalition that we helped to start. And we've got now several cases dealing with redistricting, because some of these states are, again, passing discriminatory laws that basically gerrymander things such that it dilutes the native vote and makes it difficult for our people to elect anybody who supports Indians. We got all these issues together and put them in a proposed Native American Voting Rights Act. And we've been trying to get that passed in Congress as part of this push nationally to get a Voting Rights Act. So all that continues.
And how is it going in Congress, in your opinion, at the current time? Do our viewers need to write their congressmen, their senators?
Yeah, that would help. It's just an ongoing issue, and of course, you know, the politics of the Congress, it's kind of deadlocked between the Democrats and Republicans. It makes it difficult to get anything through, but we haven't given up. The civil rights community hasn't given up, so we keep asking the Congress to pass the Voting Rights Act, including the Native American Voting Rights Act, and we just hope for the best. We never give up.
Well, keep fighting the fight. In Native News Online, we do a lot of coverage of the suppression, and I'm going to ask you a question. It's so obvious. I mean, sure have to ask a rhetorical question, but is the problem real? A lot of there's pushback saying it's not real, but is there really a big problem that you know? And I already know the answer, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, you know, we're very busy in several states on these you know, redistricting issues right now. We just filed a case recently up in North Dakota dealing with that issue, and we've got cases pending in other states as well. It's just something that goes on, and we're hoping to get relief from the courts.
Okay, thank you. And John, we have a question from one of our viewers. The viewer asks, is it possible for the Department of the Interior to update a treaty? Laws and policies have changed. Is it possible for the Department of the Interior to update a treaty?
Well, of course, treaties are between the United States government and tribes, and you know, the Interior Department would not have that administrative authority to do anything. Of course, they interpret the treaties and implement them, but trying to change anything or add anything, that would have to be done in Congress.
So the answer is to the viewer, it has to be done through Congress. And John, I have one last question, and it relates to McGirt. As you well know, the Supreme Court in July of 2020 basically said that a great share of eastern Oklahoma had never left tribal lands or control, so to speak. And there's been a lot of pushback from the state of Oklahoma. Where do you think that battle is, and what's your opinion on the future of McGirt?
Well, the state of Oklahoma keeps asking the U.S. Supreme Court to reverse that decision that they made in McGirt, but they're not really getting anywhere on that. But there is one issue pending right now that comes out of that McGirt case, and that is the argument by the state of Oklahoma that it's not exclusive jurisdiction over these crimes involving Indians by, you know, exclusive jurisdiction of the federal government and the tribal governments, that there's concurrent jurisdiction in the state. So even though the federal government and the tribes have jurisdiction, the states have jurisdiction too, concurrent jurisdiction. So that's their current argument. And the U.S. Supreme Court is hearing that this term. So we shall see how that turns out. I don't think the state of Oklahoma is going to prevail, but they keep trying everything to, you know, get around McGirt.
Now, are they they're gonna hear the case? I understand. Is it the end of this month or maybe 1st of May through there? And then the decision will happen before the court adjourns and for their summer recess, or how does that work?
Yeah. I think that's the schedule, Levi. The argument here coming up soon, and hopefully a decision by the time they close the term of court, the end of June.
Okay. And John, I said I had one last question, but really I have another one, and hopefully this can help you. How can our viewers support NARF?
Well, by contributing. Again, we're a nonprofit organization, and we depend on that funding. So the contributions are really what's needed. In addition to that, from time to time, we will ask our supporters to weigh in on some political issues we're involved in, like this Native American Voting Rights Act that we just talked about, and I think that helps as well and gives them a chance to assist in other ways beside making contributions.
And we will direct our viewers in a subsequent story to the NARF website so they can find out how to donate and contribute. John, on behalf of Native News, congratulations on the 50th anniversary. Actually, 52 years, but it's just tremendous work you do. And I've written this that we no longer have the U.S. Cavalry chasing natives around Native Americans on the Great Plains, but the wars are being fought in the courtrooms. And so what you guys do is just absolutely wonderful, and you are the legal warriors for Indian country. So thank you very much, and congratulations. Thank you for coming on. I know you're very busy, have to be busy with your event tomorrow night. So I hope you enjoy yourself tomorrow night. And to the viewers, we will supply the information on how to contribute to NARF. And John, thank you very much, and we'll have a good day. And we hope that our viewers will tune in next week, because our guest will be Ashley Collingbull, who is a model, who is the first Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, who is indigenous to North America. So Ashley Collingbull will be the guest next week. So with that, please join us next week, and we hope you have a good week, and be well. Thank you. Thank you, Levi.
Yeah, thank you.